Hey, beautiful ladies. Happy Friday. And men, because I do have men that watch the replays too. How are you guys today? Happy Friday. Donnell, and I am excited to do the Embodied Oracle show today and talk about letting go to let in. And I don't know about you guys, but the energy as of late has been massive. You know, we started a eclipse portal on Monday where we had the Scorpio new moon. I'm going to move this down just a little bit. We had the Scorpio new moon. I got my gold digger shirt on today. I'm casual today. I haven't been feeling well. In all honesty, I've had headaches every single day. I've been really run down. I attended this incredible mastermind in Las Vegas last weekend for my futuring stuff that I'm certified in. And I think just all the travel, and I actually had a transcendental rebirth last weekend. Yvonne Delafore, who's my mentor, she does those and they're incredible. I'm actually getting trained in that as well. But it really repatterns all your nervous system. And so my body's been going through this like kind of massive shift, as astrologically we're going through this massive shift. So it's been a really interesting week. I've really had to stop and pause and take massive self-care. So I'm curious for you, how has your week been? How have you been doing? Have you been having to take extra care of yourself? Scorpio, new moon, you know, new moons are a time to plant seeds, but Scorpio is this really interesting sign that's all about letting go. And then you add the eclipse on it and it kind of amplifies it. And then there's an eclipse kind of wormhole of 2 weeks, you know, before we go into the Taurus full moon on November 8th. So we're in this container of a couple weeks where anything can happen. Shifts are, you know, miracles, massive just transitions in life things happening. And since Scorpio is the energy of letting go, death, rebirth, the phoenix rising, you may find yourself in a death moment. You may find that you're letting go of something, that the way that your reality has been is not going to be how it's going forward. And I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart. And so for me, the shadow, right? It's like shadowy material. It's the darkness. It's what sometimes are we afraid to part with about ourselves. And when we are moving into who we're going to become, we always have to let go, right? We always have to let go of something. Most importantly, right? It's energetic. So there may be a portion of your life right now that is in transition. And I want you to see if you can, one, pause during this time and really just be with the flow of the energy, not try and fight it, not try and speed it up, not try and change it. I did mention that energetically this week, I had pulled the accelerated motion card. So things are going to be happening fast. I noticed that even with my own life, things have been moving quickly. I also said in my soulcast for October that we might have a miracle week in the 3rd or 4th week. And so for some of you, something that you may have thought wasn't going to move or you were really stuck in, all of a sudden there's an opening or there's a shift or there's like light at the end of the tunnel type of thing. And so celebrate that, you know, celebrate that what you want wants you to, what you've been working towards. When you can see the movement, even if it's not fully come to fruition, that is the future breathing and speaking to you and letting you know that you are on the right path. And this week pushes things forward. So what is one of the fastest ways to let go? Well, one is not to be in resistance. You know, if you're moving super fast and you're not able to slow down and pause, you might find that a week like this or an eclipse season or any time in your life for that matter, when we're going through a lot of transformation, that you may want to like fight it a little bit. You may resist And I think the invitation right now is to really embrace, to really allow, and to be with what wants to move, and to trust the bigger kind of picture. Because it's really easy when we're purging. You know, for me, I kind of felt like a little bit sad this week, and I felt a little tired and run down, and I didn't have the energy to do all the things that I normally do. And I noticed my resistance towards that, like, oh, I gotta go do this thing, I gotta go make this happen. And it's like, well, maybe I'm not meant to do it that way right now. Maybe I'm meant to just relax and trust and allow, and, you know, meet with my resistance. So when you're letting go, notice the resistance that comes up, and then notice if you're trying to control, like if you're really trying to control like what's happening versus just being like a tree and letting the leaves go that are ready to die. In order for there to be a new season in your life, you have to be able to compost and get rid of the stuff that's no longer relevant. And so I want you to think about, with your life right now, what are you letting go of? Is it a part of your identity? Is it a belief? Is it something really literal and tangible in your reality? Maybe you're switching jobs. Maybe you're moving locations. Maybe whatever. But it would be really easy to want to hold on to things because it feels safe and comfortable to do so. And that's where I find a lot of people, they talk so much about the changes they want to see. They want to move into something new. They want things to shift. And yet they're unwilling to let go because they want to stay in their comfort zone. They want to get to a new destination doing the same thing over and over again. And it's kind of like, really? I'm kind of done playing where like people are like, I want this, I want to do this. And yet their behavioral patterns are reactive and they're just doing the same thing over and over again. So if you really want change, you've got to pause and go slow, because you've got to ask yourself, what is this new version of me that wants to let in this new reality? How would she behave? And a lot of people right now are creating, like they're going into fear because, you know, they're worried about, you know, their health and like getting sick again, or they're worried about the finances because of the, you know, all these things, the recession. It's like all this stuff that could make us feel contracted and make us feel scared. And your job is to manage and be directive with where you're putting your energy, not to go into scarcity. To not worry, like do the things to keep your health where they need to be so you can stay, you know, and take good care of yourself, but not to go into a full-blown panic where the frequency that you're sending out to the quantum field is one of fear, and then receiving back a matching vibrational destiny. Like, that's not what you want. It's not to say that when you're, you know, just because you're always in, you know, if you think a negative thought, you're going to attract it in. Not necessarily. But if you're always vibing in fear and lack and scarcity, your environment is going to respond back to you in that way. It's going to, you know, it's going to bring in more of that. So if you want something different, if you want to let in something new, you have to be willing to let go of how you're continuing to operate from that lower vibrational place. So if you want something different, you're going to have to think differently. You have to think like your abundant self. You have to think like the person that already has what you have. If you want a relationship and yet you go into relationships and you're, oh, I never meet the right guys and this kind of stuff. Well, what would it look like to come? That's a closed down way of thinking. That's very limited thinking. What would it look like to be like, I believe that I'm worthy of love and I'm going to act from a place of having an open heart. It's very different. You know, I hear people go, I'm trying, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's like, but are you really? Because if you're coming from the same energetic operating place, like if you're coming from the same energy that you would, and yet you're trying to do something different, the universe doesn't know that as different. It's like, oh, she's going on dates, but yet inside she feels like there's no guys out there and she doesn't trust men and she's operating from her old patterns. So we're just going to kind of keep sending her some similar energy. Do you see where I'm going with this? That in order to let in the new, you have to be willing to shift, to let go of the old. So this time astrologically is designed for that. Like, it is so amazing what can happen when you just go with the flow of the universe. Like, the universe, you don't have to go searching for it. You don't have to go looking for it. I bet you the thing that you are meant to let go of in this 2-week transitional period between eclipses is going to be like, hey, I need your attention over here. I need you to see that this is the pattern, the thing that you need to release. And your job is to be with that and to be like, okay. And who do you get to be on the other side of this when you really allow that to happen? Really allow it. Because think of if your emotional baggage represented suitcases and you want to go somewhere new and you're putting all your stuff, like let's say you want to travel to a new destination in your life, and you know you have like 10 suitcases to fit in a little trunk in a car, but you're like, but I want to go somewhere new and I want to do something, but like you're trying to bring all the baggage with you. It doesn't work. It does not work. What you have to do is figure out how to travel lighter. So to get rid of the things that are holding you back, because your energy field, we are light, like by quantum physics, we are light. And in your light body, if you're holding on to all this old drama, trauma, the past, all the things, right? We got to always do the work to move through that. But if you're holding on to it, there's not a lot of space to let in the new. And so that's why I love to work with, my clients on that. Like, how do we clear that? How do we move those things so that you can bring in what you want and then sustain that frequency? It's interesting. I work with a lot of women on their past, but like more often than not, what I'm seeing right now is people coming to me that have their lives in a really good place, but they're like, I want this thing and I don't know how to sustain the frequency to keep it or hold it, have it be integrated. And it's an important thing because that's a space issue. That's like you're just bringing too much from the past still. So in order to be able to hold a frequency, you have to have room and you have to be willing to adopt and become that new energy, to really let it in and become it. And that is when you're able to create a whole new life, whether it's a new relationship, new way of being in your body, your health, a new job, a new career, So it's so exciting. It's the most exciting work to be able to like create the life that you desire. And that's why I created my program, Destined. And if you noticed, I am offering one scholarship. The program is starting next week. And I just had an intuitive hit today of like, you know what? I want to offer a screaming deal on this because I know a lot of people could use some support right now in creating the reality that they want. So message me for details on that. But I want to leave you with this one thought when it comes to creation. And the quantum field, right, contains like your destiny. Like it's like God manifests that energy. All the probabilities of all the things that you want exist in that quantum field, and you are the attraction point to the different things. And so if you have an idea of something that you desire, let's just say you're like, I'm going to use my beautiful friend as an example. This is a true story. I want to be a TV actress. I want my own show. That's pretty audacious, right? That's like bold. Like, I want my own show. And 7 years ago, I was sitting with my, I think it was like 7 years ago. I can't even remember now. It was back in like 2018, maybe 2017. So it's a while ago. Her and I were in a mastermind together. And I remember we were sitting outside talking. We were in Los Angeles. And I said to her, I go, you know what, girl? I see you being in a TV show. I could totally see you on TV. Like, you're going to be on TV someday. You have the personality, the energy. She's beautiful. She's just like full of like spunk and she's hilarious. I was like, you're going to be on TV. And she's like, I've tried and it just hasn't worked out. And I was like, I see it. And then, but she had the desire. Okay. So we start with our desire. That's the first thing I want you to notice. And so she's sending out, from from a teaching perspective. She's sending out a wave to the quantum field. I want my own TV show. So a year or two goes by, and I remember she like reached out to me and she's like, oh my gosh, I tried out for this. I think she tried out for a TV show. And she was in the running for it, but it didn't work out. And she was so bummed. She was like, oh, I'm so bummed. I like really wanted to be on that show and it didn't work out. And I was like, oh man. So the quantum field responded in a sense, right? But it wasn't the right alignment. It wasn't the right energetic alignment for her to have this show just yet. But what I want you to imagine is the quantum field, if it was like a kind of like a goalie net, you know, from soccer, like a goalie net, like it's like implanted, that probability in the quantum field is planted there that she wants a TV show. So it doesn't go away, you guys. Like your desires, like if you're like, I want to make $1 million in my business, but yet it's taking you 2 years, it doesn't mean it's gone away. It doesn't mean it's never going to happen. It just means it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. And this is the thing, is like, are you willing to hold the frequency of what you desire? So last year I went and I met with her for dinner in San Diego. And lo and behold, she was scouted for her own show. She didn't have to even try out for it. They literally found her on YouTube because of the videos she was doing and the work she's putting out in the world. And the quantum field, like she held the frequency of her desire, never really gave up on it, didn't think about it too much, like surrendered to it, just like surrendered it. Because we don't ever know the how, right? We don't know the how, but we surrender to the desire and we just say, this is what I want. Let's see what happens. And then the quantum field responded. She gets this opportunity and the rest is history. Next month, she comes out with her amazing show and I'll tell you more about that at some point. But that's such a great lesson in the sense that what you desire, there is a matching timeline in the quantum field for that. Now, if all of a sudden you go into like dark and dimness and like, oh, I'm not going to get that. And that's just never going to happen for me. And like, I believe that like I'm never meant for TV. Then she starts to like her signal, you know, like if the universe, the quantum field has a signal that's matching her signal, then her signal, her light starts to diminish and then it could bypass her, right? But if she's staying in the energy of what she wants and then the opportunity comes and boom, like everything happens. So what are you destined for? You know, what are you like? What's that secret yearning of your heart that you're like, I really want this? And what are you willing to let go of? Whether it's the fear that it's never going to come true or thinking that, you know, you're never going to be where you want to be in like maybe you have a secret gift or purpose like that you want to get out to the world that is a secret because you haven't shown it, you know, to everybody. But your self-worth is being compromised in the sense that you're questioning and doubting. So the quantum field, you're not sending out that strong enough wave right now. So your job is to hold the frequency of the probability that you desire, which means you have to be able to feel it, which means you have to have emotional mastery. Otherwise, we'd all have what we want. And so it's so fun when you start to think about what would it feel like to have my own TV show and be that version of me that gets scouted out. I mean, never in her wildest dreams did she ever think that was going to happen. And yet it did. It's a real story. Like, I can't wait to share with you when her stuff. Her and I are actually doing a program. We're going to be doing a program together, a coaching program. So I just love the miracles and possibilities that can happen when we're willing to let go of the how. We're willing to let go of the energetic density that blocks us from the reality that we want. And we're really willing to have an open heart and trust and let in the vibration, the juiciness, the potency of the things that we really desire. It's just incredible. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm going to go back to some self-care because I'm still not feeling 100%. If you are interested, my Destined program starts next week. I have an amazing group. It's a very high-touch program. It's group coaching. There's a medicine journey involved in it. It starts, through November, and it goes for 7 months. We take a little time off during the holidays, but beyond that, we're doing some incredible stuff in there, like who you decide you want to be when you enter that container. By the end of it, you are destined to start making progress on getting there. That is my, thing to help you, because I am an expert, at working with women in releasing their trauma and letting it go and starting to heal and come back home to themselves, and then start to be able to hold the frequency of what they want. And I'm so excited about this. So message me, and I have one scholarship for a person that really wants to do this but doesn't have the financial funds. And I can't 100% make it free, but there's definitely a huge discount. So, I don't believe in giving away free stuff. I really don't. And I'll tell you why. People don't appreciate it. They just don't. If I get things for free, I don't. And this is where if you can come up with the money to do something like this, there has to be a little bit of a stretch. Even if it's like the price is going to be half of what it normally would be, there's still a stretch for you to get there, because otherwise there's no skin in the game. I know that. I've done this stuff for years. I've coached for years, and I see that money's an energy, right? And if you are working with the energy of money, you gotta be willing to invest a little bit in yourself, because otherwise you're, blocking a lot of what is available to you, because you're not willing to get out of your comfort zone. So it's just the truth. I mean, I've done it a million times over. I've invested in myself over and over again. And so many times I'm like, how am I going to pay this? How is this going to work out? But because I commit to it, I become the person that's able to do that. So that's why for one person, I really want to help them out, because I know, it's difficult. I know my pricing's a little bit more, on a high, the high end side for spiritual coaching. And I really stand behind my prices because I am very highly trained. I've spent over $100,000 in all the stuff that I'm able to do. But that being said, I really want to serve and I want to help. So, because I love doing that. And that's why I do all this free content as well, because it's so important that if you can't afford my services, there is a way that I can support you. And I am going to start doing master classes pretty soon here, where I'm going to teach something very specific. There's going to be a healing in it and an activation, where just through that masterclass, like one of them I know I want to do is on soul contracts and how to shift up soul contracts, how to, release soul contracts, how to notice soul contracts, how to know what your soul contract is, maybe with your relationship or your loved one or whatever, but, your family, but really to know how to work with that energy. It's so important and powerful. So I'm excited to start offering all that stuff. I'll probably be starting that in the new year, and they'll be really reasonable because I want it to be something where everybody can benefit. So sending you guys so much love. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Oh, I'll see you next week for the Soulcast for November.